Assalamu alaikum class. I hope you all are fine. In the previous lecture, we studied how to take care of the newborn. I told you about the immediate care that should be done, and the first point was the clearance of the airway passage of the newborn. Then you should assess the APGAR score, and then we studied how we should take care of the umbilical cord, the skin, the eyes of the baby, and how to maintain the body temperature. And then I also told you that breastfeeding should be initiated within the first hour after delivery. Then I told you in detail how to do the neonatal examination and how certain infections which can be transmitted from the mother to the newborn and how they can be treated. Now in this lecture we are going to continue with the care of newborn. In the previous lecture, I told you that the neonatal examination should be made soon after the birth of the baby. And another second examination is done by the pediatrician within the 24 hours after birth. Now, measurement of birth weight, the height of the baby, and the head circumference of the baby are the simplest, and they are the most reliable methods by which we can say that the baby is healthy, and it also tells us about the maturity of the baby. Now, coming to the birth weight, now the birth weight should be preferably taken within the first hour of life, or it can be taken by the pediatrician within the 24 hours. Now the naked baby without the clothes should be placed on a clean towel on the scale pan. Now it should be kept in mind that I told you before in the previous lecture that the body temperature of the baby is adapting at that time with the alien environment, so it should be kept in mind that the room should also be warm, and so that the baby is placed on the clean towel on a scale pan. Now if there is home delivery, then you can weigh the baby in a sling bag by using Salter's weighing scale. Then the baby is weighed to the nearest 100 grams according to the standard method for measurement of weight. Now the average birth weight of the infants in certain developing countries are low as compared to the developed countries because there is maternal malnutrition. So the next important measurement is the height of the baby or the length of the baby. Now length of the baby can be taken within the first 3 days, or when the pediatrician is doing the examination it should be done at that time. Now it is measured with the help of an infantometer. In infantometer the head is fixed on the head piece on which the infant lies supine with its legs fully extended and the feet flexed at right angles to the lower legs. To do or to measure the length effectively, two persons should be there, and so that they can hold the baby correctly. Now the sliding board is then moved firmly against the feet before the reading is taken, and length is taken to the nearest 0.1 centimeter. Now next is the measurement of the head circumference of the baby. Now head circumference slightly changes during the first 3 days because of the molding which occurs during the normal vaginal delivery. Now it is taken with a measuring tape at a maximum circumference of the head, that is the occipitofrontal diameter. Now what are the objectives, or what are the purpose of taking these measurements? Number one, it helps us to assess the size of the baby, and so that we can compare with the known standards for the population. Number two, to compare the size of the baby with the period of gestation. Number three is to provide a baseline against which the progress of the baby can be measured in future. The next topic of discussion is the neonatal screening. Now, the neonatal screening is done to detect the infants which have certain treatable genetic, developmental, or other abnormalities, and it also helps us to do genetic counseling to the parents as well. Now, soon after birth, I told you in the previous lecture that ABGAR score and routine clinical examination are done, and at that time 10 to 15 ml of cord blood can be taken, and certain tests can also be done on that preserved cord blood for 7 days. And these tests are that you can do typing, you can do Coombs testing, and other tests if needed, like for certain hemoglobinopathies as well. Now, in recent years, certain tests have been developed which helps us to screen certain congenital metabolic disorders or certain inherited hemoglobinopathies or red cell disorders, which can be identified and that can be treated earlier. Now, the most commonest disorders which are screened are: number one, phenylketonuria. Now, phenylketonuria, it is a rare disorder of amino acid metabolism, and it is an autosomal recessive trait in babies in which there is deficiency of the enzyme phenylalanine hydroxylase. Now, this enzyme, it converts phenylalanine to tyrosine. When there is deficiency of this enzyme, the phenylalanine levels are raised, which cause mental retardation, and it can also lead to certain seizures in children who do not receive a diet which has less phenylalanine. Mass screening of blood phenylalanine in neonates is performed in many developed countries by doing the Guthrie test. Now, this test helps us to detect three types of metabolic errors. Like as I told you, one like we are discussing is the phenylketonuria. It also helps us to detect galactosemia and maple syrup urine disease. For performing this test, heel prick is done, and 3 to 4 separate drops of blood are taken on a thick absorbent filter paper. And the treatment of phenylketonuria consists of the diet free of phenylalanine. And next important disorder which can be screened is the neonatal hypothyroidism. Now, congenital hypothyroidism leads to certain serious conditions like severe mental retardation, which can be prevented if the medical treatment is given within the first 1 to 2 months of life. The tests should be carried out soon after birth, and that are the thyroid hormone T4 or TSH, and so you can prevent the iodine deficiency disease, and hypothyroidism can be prevented. Next test is your Coombs test. Now, the Coombs test is done routinely on the infants of all the Rh negative mothers. Next is your sickle cell or other hemoglobinopathies. Now, agar gel electrophoresis is done on infants whose mother have sickle cell or other hemoglobinopathies like thalassemia, etc. Now, next common disorder which is screened is your congenital dislocation of hip. Now, the test consists of manipulating the hip of the baby from the adducted to the abducted position while the thigh is flexed, and a positive abnormal test is indicated by a click or snap sound, which is produced while performing the test. Now, the test is carried out on all the babies at 6 to 14 days after birth, and at monthly intervals until the baby is 4 months old. Now, the diagnosis is important within a week or two or of birth. as it helps the baby to be cured earlier. Otherwise, in the later on stage, the child can have a whole series of different operations in the later on life. The next topic is identification of at-risk infants. Now, in a community or developing country like ours, that is, which has a large number of population. Now, the number of infants who are coming for the healthcare services will be so large that it is not possible to give proper attention to all of them. So it's important to identify those infants who are at risk, and so special intensive care should be given to those at risk babies, which can contribute to perinatal, neonatal, and infant mortality. Now, the basic criteria for identifying these at-risk infants are: number one, the low birth weight babies, or who have the birth weight less than 2.5 kg, regardless of gestational age. Number two are twins. Number three is your birth order of five and more. Now, like in our country or in the developing countries, as you know, the mothers, they have more children. So the baby who is at the birth order of five or more is considered as at-risk infant. Now, next is the infant who is on artificial feeding. Now, on artificial feeding, the infants usually cannot put up with the nutritional demand, so there can be deficiencies as well. So, special care should be given to infants who are on artificial feeding and are not on breastfeeding. Now, continuing with the identification of at-risk infants, in the previous slide, we said that the low birth weight babies are at-risk infants. The twins are also at-risk infants. Now, those infants who are born at birth order of five or more, and those who are on artificial feeding exclusively. Now, next are those infants who weigh below 70% of the expected weight, and then are those infants who fail to gain weight during 3 successive months. And next are those children who have protein energy malnutrition, or who have certain infections like diarrhea or any respiratory infections. And especially those infants are also called at-risk infants who are born to working mothers or single parents. So these are all the basic criteria for identifying these babies. Now, in the first lecture, if you remember, I told you that the neonatal period is the time period of the first 28 days of life of an infant. And this neonatal period is divided into two parts: the early neonatal period, which is the first week after birth, and the late neonatal period, which is the remaining 3 weeks of the neonatal total period. Now, the late neonatal care is also very important, as there are serious hazards of infection and failure of satisfactory nutrition. And diarrhea and pneumonia are two infections which are very common in those infants who are exposed to unsatisfactory or unhygienic environment. So this period is also very important, and proper care should be taken. Babies. As I told you before, that the measurement of the weight of a baby, the height, and the head circumference are the most reliable means by which we can assess the health and the maturity of a baby. And out of this, the birth weight of a baby is the single most important determinant of its chances of surviving, its healthy growth and development. Now, the definition of low birth weight babies is that the low birth weight baby is that baby who has a birth weight of less than 2.5 kilograms, that is up to and including 2,499 grams. The measurement being taken preferably within the first hour of life before any significant postnatal weight loss has occurred. Classified into three groups according to their gestational age, and they, according to the gestational age, they are classified into the preterm, term or post-term babies. Now the preterm babies are those babies which are born before the end of 37 weeks of gestation. That is, the total period of gestation is less than 259 days. And the term babies are those babies which are born from 37 completed weeks of gestation to less than 42 completed weeks of gestation. That is, they have completed 259 to 293 days of gestation. And the third type are the post-term babies. Now, the post-term babies are those babies who are born at 42 completed weeks or any time after that of gestation. That is 294 days and above. Now, we'll continue with the low birth weight babies and we will discuss them in detail in the next lecture.